Hi, everybody. Good to be back. Can everybody hear me? Just want to make sure that everybody can hear me. Yeah. Okay. Mischief says they can hear me. So I'm not used to this mic yet. So it says it's on, but I don't always trust so good. So I want to just kind of welcome everybody here and let you know this is going to be kind of a rough one. It's got some pretty um, serious topic, has some pretty serious information and it's probably gonna run over my hour. So I've already warned the mods that they're gonna have to, like, give me some space tonight and let me do what I have to do. They're really worried, though, because I've already done an hour and a half over on Keela's channel, um, which was fun. We had a good time over there. So maybe it was just the lead into this one that I needed. Just take care of my mental health before I get started on this one. I do wanna take a minute to say hi to the chat before we get started, and I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna get right into it, guys, because it's a hard one, okay? But it's needed. I think that it is absolutely needed. So, Knife Order, it is always so good to see you here. Thanks for outing Chomos. No doubt about it. No doubt about it, my friend. You know, um, I guess if I can battle Scientology and outing Chomos at the same time, that would be great, but man, Chomos make me sick. Ruby Fern with Autism Homestead, so good to see you. Says howdy, good to see you. Marilyn Honig, thank you so much for being here, sweetheart. And tell Duncan that I said thanks for cutting you loose from your from your evening of, being at his beck and call, basically. I know how that goes because it's the same with me and Mark. So anyway, tell him I said thank you and I love him too. I love you both. You're amazing, amazing people. I am the Noise Opera. Thank you so much for being a member and thank you for being here. Always glad to see you here. The Hef. Good to see you, Hef. I'm so glad that your internet is working better because it was, you were having fear of missing out. Well, I was having it too because I was like, what the heck? I knew it had to be something like that because you don't just generally fall off the face of the earth. So, Mischief managed. My probably best friend in the world. I love you. I really, really love you. Thank you so much. She's sending kisses. I send them back to her and to Mr. Mischief too. So, anyway, the Journey 2020, good to see you. Marilee, I love you to death. Thank you for being here. Jimena, thank you so much for being here. Jimena's one of our new mods. We're picking up a couple extras. We lost a couple, so we're picking up a couple, and Jimena is the first of the ones that have joined us now. So you all be sure and say hi to Jimena and treat her right. She's a sweetheart and becoming a very good friend to me. Constance June, so glad to see you. Evie, good to see you too. Tiff 420, good to see you. I'm so happy every time I see you guys. Kim Roy, hey, good to see you. Yeah. Kathleen Leary, hi to everybody. Hello to you too. Ben Bacon Bits, hey, good to see you. I am just thrilled to see everybody. I really truly am. Baby shark doot 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 doot. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, be sure to hit that like button, y'all. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please do. I really appreciate that. DJ Nico, good to see you in here too. Guys, I'm so glad to see some of you here, and I'm hoping a couple of the others that normally come in will. Nicole, glad to see you too. Nicole's somebody that I really want to have on my channel, so I'm really hoping that I can talk to her and get her to come on the channel. Um, if you can if one of my mods can post my, um, email address in there, then she could maybe email me or, where I can at least get her email address, something. But anyway, CO Bilf, good to see you. Very good to see you. Goodness, all kinds of people coming in here. Incarnasol, good to see you. Waving at Marilyn. So, yeah, we're supposed to be getting a room raid in a little bit, I think, if, when Keela's channel ends. So, Heat My Shorts, good to see you. Taking care of some stuff around the home when you rest, huh? Hey, Poet, good to see you too. Goodness, it is good to see you guys. It really is. So, I am going to get started, or else I'm never gonna. Yeah, so many of my favorite people in here tonight too have absolutely. Misha, good to see you. Yeah, that's what she said. Yeah, boy, all kinds of people. Okay, I'm gonna get started. Um, I wrote it down, y'all. I've been really trying to not do so much of my big notes, but when it's something this important, I just don't want to get messed up. Carrie, good to see you too. And I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to mess it up. So anyway, so I want to welcome everyone to our channel. We are a little later tonight than what we usually go. Hey, Awaken, good to see you too. Um, we usually go at 5 Central Time, and Tony, hi. We're going at 7 Central Time just because I didn't think that this topic was really a good one for what I call the dinner hour. So, you know, Mark doesn't get home till after 7, so our dinner hour is later than a lot of people's, but I didn't know. I thought maybe it'd be better if y'all could be finished with dinner before sitting down to this one. I am, issuing a very serious trigger warning with this one. It for the entire duration of the live. Oh, guys, mental health matters. Hey, good to see you. You made it. So, anyway, take care of yourself. If this one is too deep of a subject for you all, then please just back out and, come in on another video, or if you have to watch it in, you know, little increments and come back on the replay and watch it that way, just whatever works for you, or just completely skip this one. It's fine. No hurt feelings. I just want you to take care of you. So, okay. Before I get started, huh? Um, Mind the rules. Basically, don't be a dick, y'all. Just don't be a dick, okay? Or a pee-pee stick, however you want to say it. Um, be nice to the mods, be nice to me, be nice to the chat. Just if you don't have anything good to say, see yourself out of here, kind of deal. Because we're all adults here, and we're going to treat each other like adults. So, I want to also be clear that if at any point during this whole live I seem to laugh or chuckle, please know that I am not thinking that there's one funny thing in here. There might be something that's ironic, or but I am taking it very seriously. I just sometimes I get a little nervous, like, or, "Oh, that's really cool," like something that kinda comes off. I'm afraid it'll come off as being uncaring, and that's not how I am. So, I just want you to know that I am taking it very serious, and so there's that. See, I already giggled. So, when I started this channel, I did so because I felt such a want, or even a need, to stand beside the ex-Scientology community, both the ones that were ex-Scientologists and the ones like myself that were never in, Scientology or any cult for that matter, or in different cults. And I wanted to be another voice that was drawing attention to the disgusting cult of Scientology. In my past as a newspaper reporter, publisher, what all, I'd covered local politics and lots of drug related things, thefts, um, murders, even child essay. One in particular had both child essay and an aliving of a child, and it was rough. So, while this is nothing new to me, it has been a few years, so and I'm way better writing than I am speaking to people. So, like, I can just sit down and write forever and it be okay, but if I start talking, I get all tongue tied and everything, so just please bear with me. So, whenever I retired, I was ready to get away from that, but I still wanted to have some kind of something to fight for, something I could do to help people. And so, but in a much more positive space, and that's how I kind of ended up here. And but it's also a very flawed community. It is kind of like an actual community or town. You know, everybody's got their things that they do, their parts that they play, their, friends that they have, people that they are drawn to or not drawn to, the whole bit. It is very much like a community. And once again, it I never thought it would be, but I find myself immersed in all the things, right, that I left behind. I mean, the politics, the drugs, the theft, the essay, the child essay, the murder, the scams, and the con artists. And I mean, it's all in our little tiny community. We are overachievers, y'all. We are overachievers. And just like in the newspaper business, I've been called a liar. I see people here, hey, Joel, good to see you. I figured you'd be here. Marilyn, there's several of you here. Keela, a lot of us have been, and Jimena, we've all been called liars, and we're not. So, if you cover all of the crimes and the quote unquote drama, then you're seen as a hater and that you're just seeking drama. But if you don't cover all of that, then you're complicit and you're ignoring it or you're covering it up. So, there's no way to win in either an actual, you know, community or an online community. There's just no way to win. So, at times it feels like I left one big hot mess for another big hot mess, maybe a little smaller hot mess. But I refuse to quit, and I am always just so thankful when I look up and I see you all because you're what gives me the strength to keep going on. Because every once in a while, a story comes along, y'all, that we have to cover. It needs to be told in order to keep people safe. And tonight is one of those nights when there are stories that need to be told. Two stories, actually, but one with an actual, well, they're both actually have criminal themes, but both have to do with child essay. Um, and I want to look at two different things whenever I'm going through here. One, I want to understand why. I would love to be able to ask them. I mean, and I'm not stupid. I got to turn this fan on. Sorry, y'all. Menopause fan. Turned it off a while ago. Sorry. I would love to know, why are these predators seeking out communities full of victimized people if, as they say, they are reformed? Because that's the thing, right there. Like that was years ago. I'm not like that anymore. And number two, why do so many people act like the moral police in this, but yet they still support and defend these predators, pedophiles? So I want to start with Brett Miller. best known in this community as Captain Tommy Scoville. And y'all, nobody is ever gonna convince me that it was an absolute just fluke, an absolute just accident that he comes onto this scene and immediately becomes romantically involved with not 1, but 2 former Scientologists. I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. I don't think that that is I don't think that that's by accident. I think it's very much by design. You know, Brett, he did tell one big truth, right? He always said that he's a dirtbag con man. He always said that he's a drug addict and a bank robber. We just didn't realize that, to use the Church of Scientology jargon, that that was his shore story or his acceptable truth. You tell part of the story and then you hide the worst, or you hide what you're doing now. And I think back now at all the times I watched his show or watched him with Reese, um, and I think back about all the times that he would go on and on about chomos and how they had to be in protective custody in prison because they are the absolute most hated lowlifes in prison. They are like at the bottom, you know. But he didn't mention that he was speaking from experience, that he had to be put in protective custody, PC. So that was just telling an acceptable truth. It was okay to tell about these other things. And then he could say, "Well, I told you. I warned you." But he did hide the worst of it, I think. Other than robbery, his drug abuse harmed himself more than it harmed anyone else. His just being an asshole person hurt himself just as much as it hurt anybody else. But the part that got him in the PC, it's unforgivable. Eventually, whenever it all kind of got out and we all started figuring out who he really was, which a lot of that was thanks to people like Knife Order that put it out there. This is what his real name is. This is, here's his record. Here's this, here's that. But he finally did come forward, but he said, yeah, yeah, yeah. I had a statutory in my past. It's not a big deal. I had a statutory in my past. There, I said it. Are you happy now? Kind of a deal, right? So, like, no, I'm not happy now. But he's even in saying that, he's again conning this community because his paperwork, I found nowhere that said statutory, but I found where it says sexual assault. It says forcible sodomy in the stairwell of a school. Now, I will give him credit, sorta. I think the girl was 15, I think he was 17. They were both minors. It also says he stalked the girl afterwards for 3 years, and she hadn't told other than a counselor at school. She hadn't went to the police and told about the, assault, but he still found it necessary to stalk her. And, I mean, after 3 years, she just had enough, and she ended up filing charges, and that was the only thing that made him stop. So, this isn't a case of a boyfriend and a girlfriend, having relations and mommy and daddy finding out, and they get mad and they file charges on him. That's not what this is. And I just, I'm just really I'm disgusted by him, like, trying to play it up, like the statutory thing of it, because in a lot of people's mind, by saying that, it makes it seem like that it wasn't as serious as it was, but it was serious. So why isn't he on a sex offenders list? Well, it's been many years, and because the girl had previously claimed that her uncle had assaulted her, and his lawyer argued that she had lied about that, which I don't know if she did or not, but his lawyers said that she lied about that, and so basically if she's lying about that, then she lied about Brett assaulting her as well, made her out to be an unreliable witness. Did she lie about the uncle? I don't know. But Tommy Scoville has went on and on and on for how long saying, "Believe the witnesses. Believe them," like the Jane Does in the Danny Matheson case, I can't even talk. Mr. Believe the Victims, eh, he called his victim a liar, and he bullied her and harassed her for 3 years. I believe that then 15-year-old girl, and I do not believe that it was statutory. I could not find anywhere that it said it. And again, like I said, statutory is more of a case of a young couple, they have sex, mommy and daddy find out and charge the boy. Sometimes they charge somebody, sometimes the boy's parents charge the girl, it doesn't matter. But that wasn't what this was. And he, all these years later, is lying about it and victim shaming her. Why did he torment her for 3 years? Brett's math just don't math, y'all. I mean, he should have been freaking thrilled that she didn't, like, turn him in, that he had scared her off and, so she didn't press charges. But no, he was so high on himself, so egotistical, such a narcissist. I hate that word, but if the shoe fits, that he honestly he got off on stalking her. And she had to have been scared. He is a predator. And not just a sexual predator, as we know from that tape that Reese released. He is just a predator in general. And young girls or women or young boys or men, whoever, are not safe from him. They're just not. And so much of the time, especially back in the day when all this would have happened, it didn't get told. Thank you, Keela. We didn't tell. I'm gonna tell you a story now. Story time with Susie. Yeah, before we move on. This story I've only ever told the whole story to one person in my entire life. I'm gonna tell you all the ones that are in here and anybody that comes in on the replay, whether I know you or not, I'm trusting you. And after I tell this story, I'm gonna move on to pervert number 2. There's that laugh, right? Pervert number 2 was hiding in plain sight too. So I was a 15-year-old virgin when I lived in California. To say I was sheltered would have been far underestimating things, y'all. We lived out on a cattle ranch, and I was constantly with my parents and my brother and sister. I spent the night at my one of my girlfriend's houses, where she was at back and forth. She's at my house, I was at her house, back and forth, back and forth. But I really wasn't out in the world. Our time was spent on the ranch and at rodeos. That's what we did, and went to church. I'm not going to tell you all the silly, details that led up to what happened. I'll tell you enough that you kind of figure it. You can see how it went wrong. Okay, but again, just trust me. I was a very young and dumb 15-year-old. I did not understand boys, much less men. I did, however, fancy myself deeply in love with the literal most popular guy in our town, school, rodeo community, everything. He was absolutely it. He kind of ran hot and cold with me. Like, he'd be very polite, and he would tell me that when we grew up, or when I grew up, because he always called me a kid. He didn't call me kid, but he would say, "You're such a kid. You're so young." And anyway, he was a whole 3 years older than me. We were both young, but he would say we were going to end up married. And by the way, he is the hero in this story, so don't be getting mad at him. He's the hero. Long story short, I got tired of the chaste little kisses that he would give me here and there, and being treated like, quote unquote, a baby. Now I'm like, God, how sweet was it that he honestly was so gentle with me. He knew that I did not know what the hell I was doing in the dating pool. He knew. And he was awesome at 18, 17 when we met. But anyway, after a long time, I mean, like months, forever, I decided that it was a really good idea to flaunt a relationship in front of him, like flaunt flirting with some guy and being seen with some guy. And so I did what every like intelligent 15-year-old girl does, and I picked an absolutely totally hot but 27-year-old loser working at McDonald's, and I threw him in his face. Now, to be fair, I didn't know he was 27 years old. He lied. I also didn't know that he was a druggie. And I sure didn't know that he was married and had 2 kids. I found all that out later. But simple flirting, probably much like this girl that Brett Miller knew in high school, led to me getting in a car with him and going for a ride. and, he was gonna take me back to the football game, and this is where it gets kinda weird and really hard to talk about. This guy literally parked his car in sight of my on again, off again boyfriend's house. He then raped me. It wasn't violent. He just wouldn't stop. He wouldn't take no for an answer. He knew better, he knew that I really wanted it. My dog just came home, sorry. I fought, but I didn't fight hard enough, and I said no. I was in absolute complete shock, but I'd gone willingly against all of my friends urging me, "Don't do it. Don't go. You don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know this guy." He then took me to the school and he dropped me off and just acted like nothing happened. Except he did warn me, and this is where I found out part of that if his wife found out that he would kill me. So within minutes, I actually saw the on again, off again boyfriend, and he saw me. So he drove over there to where I was at because I was crying. He put me in his truck and we drove around, and I told him everything, everything. All the way from I wanted to make you jealous, all the way. I refused to go to the police. It was 1981, and young girls weren't as believed then as they are now. Just ask Brett Miller's victim. It would have been after that, but not a long time after that. So the on again, off again, whatever boyfriend, he took me back to his house and he made sure I got cleaned up. Then we went to the game. And he was far more affectionate at the game, like not gross, but he just kept his hands on me at all times, and he made sure that my friends saw him actually kiss me, which I later found out was to account for all the hickeys that were all over my neck from the creep. He wanted to save me being embarrassed and act like it was him. He also promised that if I ended up pregnant, that he would either pay for the abortion or that he would swear that it was his and we'd get married, whichever I wanted, which thankfully we didn't have to worry about because I didn't get pregnant. He didn't force the police issue. He knew how it was. It sounds so bad now because, now women are more believed, not always, but more. That what he did do was he beat the shit out of that guy. He literally put him in the hospital. I mean, it was bad. And I'm not even sorry about it. I'm glad he did it. So then a few weeks later, the guy started literally stalking me, following me around, calling me and hanging up. So whenever I heard about this with Brett Miller, it really was like a gut punch. What baby? Oh, okay. I'll read it in a little bit. I'm trying to do this live right now, okay? I love you too. Bye-bye, boo. Little angels come in when you need them, huh? So, when all this was going on, it did not escape the notice of the local cop that knew a bunch of us kids. He wasn't all that much older than us, and so he knew that something had went on, and he tried to get me to talk to him about it and to press charges, but I wouldn't. I never did. And then one night, lo and behold, the guy got beat up again. Even worse, when he got out of the hospital that time, he left town, and as far as I know, he never came back. I don't know where he went, but I'm 99% sure that the, on again, off again boyfriend painfully convinced him to leave. Not long after that, my family moved to Oklahoma, and I have lived with the guilt ever since of not going forward, and what if he did it again? And as for the old boyfriend, I don't even call him an ex because we never did break up. I guess he's still my boyfriend. 2 marriages later, and I still have a boyfriend out in California somewhere. I'll always love him till the day I die. At 18, he was a real man. He probably, if he knew what he knows, what he would know now, he would probably have convinced me to report the guy. But, we deal with what we know at the time, with the situation that we are given at the time. But he was a real man then and is to this day, and it's something that creep and Brett Miller will never be. They are scum. I'm sure just like how Brett minimized that attack that he did on that girl, I'm sure that guy minimized, at least in his head, what he did to me. I know the whole time he was getting his ass beat, he tried to say I was lying, and that just got him beat worse. People like that guy and Brett, they believe we deserve it. They deserve us. We're a piece of meat. Or maybe they never even think about it, but we do. It's never far away. It's like grief, and it sneaks up in you at the absolute worst times. So so that guy, who I won't even name, who knows if it was his name? He lied about so much, it's probably not even his name. But dude, creeper, asshole, whatever, and Brett Miller, I just wanna say, "Fuck you, you fucking fucks." I believe that girl that Brett assaulted. I believe this girl too. The courts that did handle some of the stuff with Brett's girl, they believed her too, and Brett just needs to accept that he is one of those chomos that he mocks, that he talks about having bad papers and being hated and, dead men walking kinda deal. He is one of those. And now I wanna move on to the next, and unless Brett Miller gets arrested for the admitted cons that he's been doing via the lifeboat, I hope I never have to speak his name again. And to you who continue to support him, he he assaulted that girl. Forcible sodomy. is not a boyfriend and girlfriend having sex and mommy and daddy finding out and getting mad. It's not the same thing. And he's lied about it all these years, continues to. Plus, we know he's still conning people. How can you sleep knowing that you are, in on the con? Krista Melinda, his big super sub, I mean, super mod, she's like, mischief is to me. How do you just keep supporting him? Fuck you. Shame on you. And those of you that just keep supporting people like him, you deserve what you get at this point. But I worry about the kids. That fucking convicted chomo now talks about, there's 20,000 of you basically that still support him. Ugh, nosages. And now he's talking about that he's gonna get government grants so that he can go into schools and talk to kids about drugs and all that. I mean, what could go wrong with that, right? What could go wrong with that? I need a drink, y'all. Hold on just a second, please. I got my mason jar on a wine glass stem again today. So now let's talk about Chomo number 2. What the fuck, y'all? David Christopher Litton, aka Echoplex Media, or Dave Echoplex Media. Let's be clear, y'all. David might have us believe that he has forgotten that he pled guilty to child pornography, that he did 6 months in a federal prison and 3 years probation. But I guarantee the victims of that corn, porn, I don't care. I'm probably not gonna get this one monetized anyway, y'all. I think it's so stupid that we can't say certain words when we're doing something that is for educational purposes, which is what this is. He told us that he and his boyfriend at the time had gone to the beach, y'all, and they built the bonfire and they burnt all of his papers that had anything to do with that time of his life. All of his court papers and his probation papers. After all that was over with, they burn it all because they were done with all that. But those victims who were children, they can't just go burn some papers at the beach and be done with it. I want to shout out Marilyn Honig for bringing this to our attention, and to Rabbit for covering it. She did a great job. They've both done much better than I'm going to be able to do. But we all believe that the more people exposing this, the better. We all have different audiences. I mean, sure, some of you are in both or all three of our audiences. I think that Aaron may be going to do something, but I don't care if every creator on YouTube did one. I would strive to watch every one of them. I would watch absolutely everyone that I knew about because it's important. So apparently this Linton creep, he caught word or was tipped off. I mean, I don't think it was like, "Oh, but by the way, somebody's," but I think it was like, "Hey, look what I found these papers about you, asshole," kinda deal, but anyway, he was tipped off that his long forgotten, that's what, ugh, I forgot all about it. His long forgotten secret was coming to light, y'all. And he even offered up an a half-ass excuse minus an apology, but, heavy on the, "It was 20 years ago, and I burned the papers. I forgot it happened." I mean, what the actual fuck? I mean, yeah, apparently he has shut down his, miserably unsuccessful YouTube channel, but he's still on several other social media sites, and especially sites where children are, in the gaming communities, the whole bit. He's still out there. His, his biggest supporter, chief of the moral police herself, Mrs. J. Fuck you too, Mrs. J, by the way. Fuck you. She still supports him. It's been 20 years, guys. Has it? I hope it has. Or maybe he's just gotten smarter at his perversion. How do we know? And is 20 years the designated get over it time? I mean, once 20 years hits, are you just supposed to stop thinking about it, stop remembering it? Because mine's been twice that long, more than twice that long, and I still remember it very clearly. I mean, yeah, I put it away. It's not something I think of every day, but I get triggered very easily. I can't watch certain kinds of movies. I can't read certain kinds of books. I can't, if Mark like holds me a little too tight, or I mean, and he's as gentle as can be, but any little thing, and I remember as if it was yesterday. But the fact that Lytton thought so little of his crime, which he pled guilty to, that he now claims that he has forgotten it. I burned all the papers, y'all. I don't remember any of the details, and I burned all the papers. It makes me fear for the safety of children around him or in online communities, even more than I would if he admitted it and was just like, I mean, I wouldn't forgive him if he just is like, "That was a long time ago. I was a different person then," whatever. I would still be, "You're a chomo piece of shit and fuck you." But I could respect him a little tiny, tiny bit more than saying, "I burnt all those papers, y'all. I forgot all about it. I don't remember any of the details." You don't remember that you did these things and that you pled guilty and that you went to jail for 6 months and then you had to do 3 years of probation? That none of that. I got arrested for writing a check that I didn't write 12 years before they arrested me, that bounced, but it didn't bounce because there was no check, and spent, like, 19 hours in jail, and that was about 20 years ago, and I remember every detail. I'm not gonna believe that his ass was a chomo in a federal prison for 6 months, and he doesn't remember it. But he and Brett, they are both just too immersed in themselves and in the, anti-Scientology community, a community full of victims of child sexual assault for my comfort. I'm like, "That's a little too much." The difference is Brett played like, he was our friends. He was everybody's friend. You know, "I'm everybody's friend." Whilst Linton, he attacked and ridiculed this community. He even wondered if there was a factory that produces SPTV weirdos and perverts. There has to be a factory somewhere that's building, that's creating all these. Well, who's the weirdo and the pervert now? Didn't Mrs. J? And I see on here that someone was saying that she doesn't support him anymore, but we'll see because words, actions speak louder than words. And what was it yesterday? She was still supporting him. It was 20 years ago, guys. I hope she is disgusted by him, but I'm still disgusted by her. I'm going to read part of the documents, y'all, concerning Echoplex Media's crimes, and I ask that you remember that he thinks that we need to move on. He's forgotten it even happened. Move on, guys. I am not going to give out like addresses, phone numbers. You know, I've got them, but I'm not going to hand them out or read them. I'm going to try to read it slow so that I don't mess up. So just forgive me. I have really tried to slow my speech down tonight, y'all. I'm going to read from the facts supporting the probable cause. Okay. It says, I have been investigating David Christopher Litton for using a facility of interstate or foreign commerce, namely the internet, to knowingly attempt to persuade a minor to engage in unlawful sexual activities. It's in violation of, and it names what it's in violation of. Yeah, these pages want to stick together sometimes. Sorry. So on October 22nd, 2004, a confidential informant, which they refer to in these documents as CI, so I will also, advised law enforcement that he knew that the defendant, David Christopher Litton, a resident of Fremont, California, that's as much of an address as I will give, had engaged in sexual contact with minors. Oh. Now, he likes to play it off that what happened was a one-time thing. It was a stupid mistake that he made, okay? But this is already saying that he has engaged in sexual contact or conduct, sorry, with minors, not minor, minors. It doesn't list the age. Okay. The CI advised that for the last few days from a location in Santa Clara County, he had been online posing as a minor named David. So David, fake David, was talking to real David, okay, and chatting with the defendant, who wanted to meet him at his home in Fremont, California, or a public park in San Jose, California, to engage in sexual conduct with him. The CI had sent the defendant a photograph of an anonymous young man as David's picture. Okay. Furthermore, the CI provided printouts of his chats with the defendant, which included the following. And I'm just going to read it, y'all. On October 19th, 2004, the CI was online and in a chat room contained in the website www.gay.com when he engaged in conversation with an individual with the screen name David Buha. David Buha said that his name was Dave and that he lived in Fremont. Kind of tells about where. I'm not going to list that. The CI was the CI also provided that Dave, later identified as David Christopher Linton, provided a profile of himself on www.gay.com listed as Dave. The CI expressed or the CI accessed the profile, which stated that Dave was 27 years old and was located in Fremont. In addition, the profile included Dave's photograph. During the conversation, Dave provided a real-time video image of himself to the CI via yahoo.com. On October 20th, 2004, so the next day, during their conversation on America Online Instant Messaging, AOL, the CI remarked to the defendant, "My parents are going to get me or are going to get a new car and they're going to let me have the old Volvo when I turn 17 in January." So he was letting him know that, hey, I'm 16, which he wasn't. This is a fake. Keep in mind, this is a fake, okay? The defendant asked the CI if the CI's parents knew that he meets guys his, as in the defendant's, age. During the conversation, the defendant discussed how many times the CI wished to have sex when they met. The defendant repeatedly asked the CI, "What positions do you want me to fuck you in?" The defendant asked the CI if he enjoyed being spanked. The defendant asked the CI, "Will you jack me off while I fuck you?" The defendant asked the CI, "Do you like being fucked hard or gentle?" The defendant told the CI, "We're going to have good sex tomorrow." The CI recognized the video images that were sent as matching the photograph of the defendant's profile on www.gay.com. Okay. So then on November 1st, 2004, a law enforcement agent acting as an undercover teen, so a cop pretending to be a teen, assumed the CI's online identity. So the CI basically, you know, set the hook, and the undercover agent was now going to reel him in. Okay. The law enforcement agent conducted all of the following online chats from a location in Santa Clara County. During the November 1st, 2004 conversation, the defendant told the UC which is undercover, that he was 27 years old, and the UC told the defendant he was 16 living in San Jose. Additionally, during his chat session, the defendant provided the UC a callback number, and it lists the number. On November 3rd of 2004, the defendant conversed with the UC using AOL chat again. The UC reported that he was only 16 years old and asked if that was a problem with the defendant. The defendant replied, "It's all good. You seem nice." Probably is. He's a 16-year-old boy. I mean, he wasn't, but he didn't know that. On November 8th, 2004, the defendant conversed with the UC using AOL chat. The defendant asked the UC any idea when we could hang out. The defendant then discussed with the UC about the UC, skipping school and coming to the Fremont BART station to meet with the defendant. The defendant explained that they would have plenty of privacy at the time. The defendant then asked the UC if it would be easier if the defendant came to San Jose to meet with the UC. The defendant then asked the UC if the UC remembered talking earlier about having sex and asked if the UC still wanted to. The UC replied, "Do you?" The defendant stated, "I don't know, I guess." The defendant then asked the UC if he was still versatile. When the UC asked what the defendant meant by versatile, the defendant responded it meant top or bottom. Explained that when on top, your is in them, and when you're on the bottom, their is in you. We're getting closer. The defendant asked the UC if he had ever had intercourse. The defendant then discussed oral sex with the UC and inquired if the UC would want to try doing more. The defendant then stated to the UC that it, quote, usually doesn't hurt the first time. He stated he would stop if it hurt the UC. He further stated that the UC, when the defendant, could go to see the UC and inquired that the UC's house would be empty if there was any chance that anyone would come home while he was there. The defendant further asked the UC what the nearest cross streets were to his home and stated, "I just don't want your brother finding out anything like that and telling your parents." All of this is showing that this asshole knows that it's wrong, that this is sick and wrong, okay? On November 15th, 2004, the defendant conversed with the UC using AOL chat. The defendant asked the UC, "Do you still want to hang out?" The defendant then asked the UC, "Got any naked pictures of yourself?" and inquired as to what the UC looked like naked. The defendant asked the UC when he could see him in person and when could the UC, come over to the UC, and the UC replied, "I thought you were coming to my house." To which the defendant replied back, "I think that's a bad idea. Like if one of your parents came home or if your brother saw, it would all be bad." The defendant then asked UC if they would mess around in the UC's room at his home. The UC asked the defendant what the defendant, wanted to do. And the defendant replied, "It's up to you. You're 16. The defendant later told the UC not to worry, that the defendant didn't care if the UC was not perfect because of inexperience. He told the UC to trust him and that he'd have fun doing it. The UC then asked the defendant if he used condoms, and the defendant replied that he is allergic to latex and stated that They didn't even have to have intercourse. Let me see how much more. Okay, we're getting good. Sorry. On November 15th of 2004, Verizon Wireless Inc. provided me with subscriber information for the telephone numbers. This is the one that was investigating it, talking. Okay, this is him. He's actually the one that's been talking all the time. But the telephone number was given to the UC by the defendant as set forth in paragraph 9 of this affidavit. The informant obtained, or the information obtained from the Verizon Wireless, shows that David Linton shows his address, is the current subscriber to, and it shows his phone number, or what was his phone number and address. On the same day, I compared a color printout of California Department of Motor Vehicles license number, shows his license number, issued to David Christopher Litton and his address, to the facial photograph found in the Dave profile as set forth in paragraph 8A of this affidavit. The two photographs appear to be the same individual. So now they know they got the right guy, and it's the same guy. Okay. On November 15th, 2004, Yahoo Inc. provided Postal Inspector Megan A. Bradley with the registration and internet login information pertaining to the account of Bad Monkey 123. This Yahoo account was the ID screen name used to transmit the video images of the individual identifying as Dave on November 20th, 2004 to the CI as described in paragraph 8B of the affidavit. The information provided by Yahoo Inc. showed Bad Monkey 123 is registered to Mr. Dave Litton of Fremont, California. The registration information listed an additional um, I just lost my space. Listed an additional IP address, okay, used by Bad Monkey 123 to access the Yahoo Inc. servers between October 21st and November 11th. On November 15th of 04, I reviewed the series of specific IP addresses provided by Yahoo and found they were under the prioritary control of O1 Communications of Sacramento, California, which is a company specializing in providing electronic spectrum bandwidth to internet service providers for use by their respective customers to use in an email, chat, and other means of online digital communications. On November 16th of 2004, this O1 Communications informed me that the specific IP addresses used by Bad Monkey 123 were furnished to netzero.net, the large commercial internet service provider. NetZero was the ISP that that was used to access Yahoo Inc. by Bad Monkey 123. Additionally, O1 Communications informed me that the telephone number used to access the NetZero net servers during the period of time was, and gave the phone number. On November 24th of '04, I received data compiled upon request by this agency from LexisNexis of Reed Elsevier Inc. It's a public access information search system available through the internet. The records show that David Litton is most recently associated with the address of, and it shows that he is a household member of, and lists that same address, with the current telephone of, and lists that. Additionally, listed another number as an additional line operating at and has that same address. This latter number was listed in the subscriber information related to Litton's cellular telephone number, which he furnished the UC with. He furnished the UC that number on November 1st. Okay, on November 24th, 2004, the defendant conversed with the UC using AOL chat. During the session, the UC asked the defendant, "You still at home?" The defendant replied, "Yeah, I am." The UC then asked if the defendant's maid was gone. The defendant replied, "Yepers." The UC asked the defendant, "What else are you doing home today?" The defendant replied, "Well, my friend just called. He'll be here in like 15 minutes. We're going to smoke a joint and chit chat." The UC asked the defendant, "Cool, do you keep your pot at home? I'd be afraid my mom would find it." The defendant replied, "Hee hee, my parents are cool." 27 years. The UC asked the defendant if he had his own computer. The defendant replied, "Yeah, actually, two." The defendant stated that he had one computer in the garage, which he used, and that his other computer was a laptop, which I just let everyone use. The UC asked the defendant if his room was in the garage. The defendant replied, "No, I just work on my music here." The UC then asked the defendant, "You're in the garage now?" And the defendant replied, "Yeah." The UC asked the defendant what was in the garage. The defendant told the UC that the computer he does his music on was in the garage. The defendant then further asked, or the defendant then further stated, "Yeah, I chat on this machine too." The UC asked the defendant, "You got all that in Fremont?" And the defendant replied, "Yeah." Real smart guy. On November 29th of 2004, the defendant conversed with the UC using AOL chat. During the chat, the defendant discussed meeting with the UC on the upcoming Wednesday, December 1st, 2004. The defendant stated, "I'd be down to shower with you, cuddle, kiss, suck, rim, maybe even fuck." When the UC asked what the defendant meant by rim, he stated, "Licking asshole." The defendant and the UC then discussed meeting at the McDonald's restaurant near the gave an address on Wednesday about 8:30 a.m. On November 29th, same day, United Online Inc., the holding company for Net Zero, provided me with information regarding the current active account billing to the residents located at, and it stated that the internet access account is billed in the name of James Litton with the master member ID of Good Monkey 77. United Online also provided that their recorded ISP logon times, as reflected in the information previously provided to me by Yahoo Inc. and subsequently O1 Communications, corresponded to the telephone number and the location, the defendant. Based upon the totality of the facts set forth, the defendant, I believe that there is probable cause to believe, and I do believe that the defendant, David Christopher Litton, is guilty of using a facility to, or a facility of interstate or foreign commerce, namely the internet, to knowingly attempt to persuade a minor to engage in lawful or unlawful sexual activity in violation of. So I've got many, many more documents, um, which are, you know, hard to read, but that had the details of it basically. What happened after that was, um, he obviously did not have sexual conduct or with this undercover agent, but it was enough to get a search warrant, and they uncovered tons and tons of, porn, child porn, CDs, floppy disks, all kinds of stuff, boxes of it. They they got him good, but he pled guilty, which he then got a reduced sentence, is why he only did the 6 months and the 3 years of probation, and so there's that. Now, if he closes everything up and goes away, good on him. But I do have all the rest of this information. I've got a lot of it, and there's more coming out daily. So, there may be more be said. And y'all, I'm not going to pussyfoot around with this. I haven't so far, so I'm not going to now. We live in a world where the victim of Brett Miller gets more sympathy than the undercover would be victim of David Litton or any other priors, or who knows, even post conviction victims that he may or may not have. Why? Because they are gay. We live in a world where gay men, especially, or young boys, or sex workers, get far less sympathy than just normal, women, or whatever. Y'all, let's not forget that this UC sting led to his conviction for massive amounts of child porn. And if even by some kind of sick justification, you disregard the UC agent because, he wasn't really a child, whatever. Those children that were in all those images of horrific scenes, some of which are described in some of the other paperwork, but I'm not going to read that stuff because I refuse to victimize anonymous children. Children cannot consent, y'all. We, as a community with far too many vulnerable souls, we cannot allow predators, known predators, who marginalize their crimes or claim to have forgotten their perversion operate. We can't allow that. We cannot allow them to operate within our community. I believe the victims, even the victims that their photographs, we don't even know who these victims are. Not all of them. Some of them they know. And I will never rest until these two predators and any others that figure that this is a good place to come and hide in. I want it all to be brought to the light. I want them gone. And I will strive to warn any additional communities that I find that they pop up in, just like how the other communities warned us about DOA and we didn't listen. Because y'all, I mean, for God's sake, when it comes to vulnerable people, especially children, I will always err on the side of extreme caution because the risk that they will reoffend is too great. We cannot risk children. We cannot risk our former Scientology friends that are here and that are vulnerable. We can't do that. We can't risk them either. Now, I'm gonna go to the starred comments because I have been warned to stick to the starred comments. We are well over where I was supposed to be, but I warned them, right? This is important, and again, the chuckles don't mean that I think anything here is funny. So DJ says, "Comment, in Sweden, we say, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it here." Joe McCoy says, "Wow, just got back from the hospital, and there is another Susie live." Yeah. Awakened by the looking glass reflection, so many peeps. It's impossible to tag all, but hugs everywhere. Absolutely. Magic of healing, Jimena. Take care of yourself. If the topic feels heavy, please prioritize your well being. You are not alone. Absolutely. Marilyn says, "I'm furious with Mrs. J and True." I'm going to click this up where I can see it better. I am furious with Mrs. J and True Clear Media for going easy on a disgusting child predator while constantly attacking Aaron, me, and others who have no criminal record and want to help people. Absolutely. Joel says, "If you believe that he just got involved with those two women by fate, if you think that, check your back and see if there is a sign that says, 'Lick me, I'm a sucker.'" Oh, Joel. Ah, the Hef says, "Absolutely, Marilyn. She needs to disappear from YouTube along with the other two pedos in the pod. So gross. Absolutely. Absolutely. I have zero. I give zero grace. And I want to believe that Mrs. J and some of the others did not know, but they are constantly going on and on and on about how they've got dirt on everybody. They check out everybody. I'm sure they know all about me too. I'm sure. But they didn't know that. Yeah, I told you I was a snake. Yeah, that's what they say, right? Goot Juice Hot Sauce says Brett now says he plans on talking to children in schools, like a kid in a candy store or a moth to a light. That made me absolutely sick. Yeah. I got time stamped that when somebody sent it to me. I was just like, ugh. Awakened says so many wanted to believe in second chances. We wanted him to succeed to prove to us we could live a successful life from our past. But that was before we realized the chomo part. Absolutely. And you all can succeed. You can have successful lives free from your past. Just got to get away from him. There are so many other places. You can go to um Keela has a great channel, and if y'all want to drop her links, um Mina's links, any links for healing. I know that Marilyn wants to really do some stuff on healing. I do too. We're gonna refocus a little bit and really we want to come together as a community, and we still want to end Scientology and all these cults and stuff. But we want to do what we said we are going to do. We want to take care of people. That's important. Awaken says his second chance, and what did he do with it was nothing to do with our second chances. Those are up to us. Absolutely. Goot Juice says people who are way or that way are beyond rehabilitation. Yeah, I will never trust it. How do you? How do you trust it? From everything I've read, which is a lot, but not a lot, if that makes any sense. there's just no real good data that says that they can be rehabilitated. And, one, person explained it to me, and I thought it was interesting, was that it's like it's their sexual orientation. Not that I think it's okay, okay? Bear with me a minute here. But I am attracted to men, only men. I absolutely adore women. I think that women are beautiful and sexy and all that, but no sexual attraction. I've got a friend. He is very gay. I've got lots of friends that are very gay, actually. They are very attracted to their same sex. I've got on both sides. They're not attracted to the opposite sex. No amount of beatings, no amount of therapy, no amount of anything is gonna change my sexual orientation or my friend Terry's. We are what we are. And I think that it's kind of the same thing with these chomos, and I don't mean that it's like, "Oh, it's another sexual orientation." I don't mean it like that. I mean, you know how they say that, like, if a dog kills and tastes blood, that they're always gonna do it? On the farm, we hear that a lot, that if a dog, you know, dog like, gangs of dogs that are on the loose, if they kill a calf and they taste that fresh blood, or if your dog kills your chickens and tastes that fresh blood, it's like they get a taste for it, and you're not ever gonna get get it away from them? And I think of that whenever I think about chomos. I really do. Ben Bacon bits, yeah, statutory gives the impression of consent instead of the R word. Mhm. Minus hitting. Yeah. And you don't have to beat somebody to R word them. It's a little late now for me to probably worry too much about the monetization thing, but yeah. Anyway, I just don't want them to take my whole video down or anything. Awaken says it's been a complete mind cuss for so many of us. I go back and forth between being angry and trying to move forward to being sad and being angry to yeah. Yeah. A mind cuss. Yeah. Goat Juice says he's an SO. He may in fact be registered, but if he's a level 1, that info is not publicly available. True. That is true. And I don't know. I was looking at some of this stuff. I found a lot of other little things that we could definitely bring up about either one of these guys. It's like, you want to play? Back out. Just back out and go away. You're not wanted here. Yeah. Most states have specifications in statutory R cases that define an age difference of greater than 2 years. Yeah. In Carnival, that's true. Mental health matters. Thank you so much for the super chat. He is a con man and a predator. He is not a good person who acts like that. I'm a survivor of child SA and I have no sympathy. I said the other night that I was so lucky that I wasn't a victim of child SA. And that night, as I lie in bed thinking, it like slapped me in the face. Yeah, I was. I was still a child at 15. And this idiot was 27. So Lori Sue says those two egregious, I can't say that word for some reason. Brothers are perpetual psychopathic liars, grifters, and abusers, period. They have no compelling reason to be any different now than in their past. True. Very true. Marilyn says, "Ben Bacon Bits, I live in Vermont. Age of consent is 16, not 15, which I think is too young also." I do too. Yeah, I know. I did. It does vary. Yeah. Tony says, "Wow, Marilyn, I didn't realize 16 was of age in any state." It's not of age. I think it's always 18, but you can give consent to sex at 16. I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. Marilyn says in New England it is 16. Lori says, "Unfortunately, sex A is far more common than people tend to think." Absolutely. Tony Hoban says, "When I was 16, I was too naive to defend myself." Me too. I should have fought him. I mean, he should have been a bloody mess, and he would be if it was today. But I was just so in shock, and it really happened so quickly, and I was embarrassed because it was right by my boyfriend, or we weren't together at the time, but anyway, on and off again boyfriend. It was right by his house, and I could see his dad in the yard. Mm. Yeah. Davy says, "For once, vengeance won." Hockeytown John, Susie, I hope you know that none of that was your fault. Yeah, I do know that. I have a hard time with the fact that I never said anything. And my husband, you all know something my own husband doesn't know. He's off in there and he doesn't know yet, but he will. Kim Roy says, "I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Thank you." Joe McCoy says, "In life, we come across some real stand up people. Thank goodness for Susie. Knew a real stand up guy. And thank goodness Susie knew a real stand up." Yeah, absolutely. He still is. He was a turd. Don't get me wrong. He was, he had his moments, but it's I have 2 former boyfriends in my life that I will love till the day I die. One he's passed away, he had an accident and died, and then there's this one, and I will always love him just because, I have no reason to not, and I have lots of reasons to love him. So, Davy says, "We can't feel guilt for what other people do. I never reported mine, but we can't know what we don't know." Absolutely. That was the part that I had that I was so felt guilty about, was that I didn't report it. In my opinion, there is no way you can explain away the mistreatment of another person. SA is a no forgive thing. The lifetime harm it has caused is the worst. Good gets better, bad gets worse. Be the good. Joel, that is so, so great. Nicole, good to see you. I'm so surprised by Kristen. I know from what she said, T helped her. I guess she's not curious to hear the stories from all of you who have been shouting from the rooftops. What is it they say? Even a broken clock is right twice a day. I'm sure there are people that he has helped, but I'm sorry, the bad has far outweighed the good. Lori Sue says, "How a licensed therapist can support someone so disdainful and inexcusable as the Miller boys is profoundly concerning." Fair enough. Awaken says, "The thing is, it took all of us time to realize it, to handle it in our own ways. I hate seeing hate towards those who are still stuck." Flick Fox, I credited Brett in the boat with helping get helping rid me of my night terrors, thoughts of unaliving and seizures from the essay. It was never him, but the support and all the warriors in the chat who helped me. Absolutely. I have said that so many times. I don't consider the lifeboat any kind of a failure because it's honestly it's the chat, right? Joel says today has been a long, hard day for me, but this stream has helped me to forget about the stuff with my mom. I know it is weird, but thanks for it. I needed the distraction. Wonderful group of people. Joel, I'm so sorry. I know that you were talking about your mom and she's 99, and I've been thinking about you ever since I heard that earlier. Ben Bacon Bits says, yeah, I get that. I stuck with him so much longer than I should have. Same thing. The chat worked in spite of him, not because of him. Absolutely. Yeah, Marilyn says he may have only hidden his YouTube channel. We need to watch out for his return. Mischief Managed says he's still on Twitch. Amina says the problem with all of this is the manipulation and the lies and then trying to benefit from that. Absolutely. Yeah, this is a good one, Kim Roy. Someone should send him his papers from online. His victims still remember every second of his abuse. Those memories do not go away, even after 20 or 30 years or 40. Yeah. Amina says, I'm disgusted these people get to continue to be out walking free. Like Fox says, the hef, my dad knew what happened to me and recently told me I probably enjoyed it and I deserved it. And then assaulted me when I stood up to him. He is now dead to me. I'm so sorry. I knew if I told my parents they would support me and that they would believe me. I just was so embarrassed and oh, so embarrassed. Nicole says often it's the people with charisma who use it for bad instead of good. Lori Sue Jimena, hopefully not for long. The wheels of justice turn slowly, but they indeed turn. Multiple people have contacted multiple agencies reporting the Millers as well as Reese's complicity. Yeah, I'm not even going to go there, but yeah. Lori Sue says, so clearly this guy is a very practiced habitual predator. And for a DA to even consider prosecuting a serious amount of convicting evidence has to be obtained and validated. Often a plea deal occurs. Yeah, and that's what happened. I can't remember, there was thousands of things. It wasn't just a few. This is not me, it's Mischief. It's how they are wired. You can't fix that, but I agree with her. Tony Hoban, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. It, it's very, very kind. Thank you. And if anybody in here got a gifted membership, I hope that you thanked her for that. That was very, very kind of her. And guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. I'm mentally exhausted. It's been a rough day. Um, I will be back at 5 o'clock tomorrow, 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. And we are not going to talk about um, essay. We're just not going to talk about it tomorrow. So I don't think. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for your kindness and for listening so intently when I was speaking about my experience. Thank you. I I feel very, very blessed and well taken care of here. And I wanna thank my mods. I did not even look at the chat other than what you told me to look at that was starred. I don't know if we had trolls or not. Yeah, Mischief is, like, giving me a thumbs up for actually minding. So, minding big sister. But anyway, I'm gonna go. I if there were trolls in here, shame on them, but thank you so much to everybody else that was here. I love you guys. I really do. And, go watch Jimena's channel and Keely's channel and Knife Hoarder's channel. They are awesome, and they are getting the word out about people and helping people with their mental health. And if y'all would, please say if your prayers or if good thoughts, whatever you do, will you please say some prayers or some good thoughts, whatever, for, Keela. She's having some serious medical problems, and she's going for some, I don't know, treatments or something. I don't really know what they're gonna do exactly. I don't think they really know exactly what they're gonna do, but she's going to Houston and over the weekend, and we are going to pray for the very best because this world needs more Keelas, not less. Okay? I love you guys. Bye.